if you are uninjured and you have no issues, I want you to run the way you're running.
All right, we are with Joe Norton, who is a friend and former colleague of mine. Joe, thanks for joining us. His background is a ton of running and a long distance runner pretty much your whole life, right?
Since high
Yeah.
school. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Joe and I used to work together at Georgetown University Hospital, and now he started his own practice. And I wanted to bring Joe on, and we've chatted before. Joe is like expert of all things running. So we're going to talk a little bit of gear, a little bit about postpartum return to run injuries, things to watch out for. And then Joe has a unique perspective. His son Charlie is how old now?
Charlie is a year and 3/4.
A year and 3/4. So we're getting there. And so we're going to chat a little bit about, as a dad, how do you help moms get back to kind of return to running and workouts, and especially when you're trying to get in your mileage too. So, all right, so let's just dive right in. One of the first things I think moms do is we think we can just jump into our old shoes and our old attire and make everything work. And lots of times our feet are bigger. They're not only wider, but they're just bigger. And so I think it's so hard when you're used to running in the same shoe for so long. Like, how do you figure out where to start as far as finding a new shoe?
Right. And where you want to start is just going to a running specialty store. And these folks there, they know everything about the shoe, from the what the material's made out of, what it's for, the longevity of the shoe. So they'll be able to tell you, like, if you have a shoe that you've used in the past, you've really liked it, they'll let you know, like, all right, that shoe's only good for 500 miles. It's time to get a new one. And that's one of the major things is when you do go to the store, they'll be able to also guide you to finding many different shoes. As running medicine has evolved, we've learned that less and less of an emphasis should be placed on a shoe type or a movement type, and more emphasis should be based off of comfort within the shoe. And that comfort spans from like your first feel of getting into the shoe, but also how it feels with running. When you're running, it should feel natural and efficient.
So we're done with like I'm pronated or I'm supinated or I'm neutral. We're done with all that now.
We'll probably never be done with it. However, there's pretty like substantial evidence to counteract the whole, you have a low arch, so you need a motion control shoe.
Yeah.
And there's like military prospective studies with like the best ones out there. Many thousands of people have showed there's no change in injury rates based off of foot type or foot shoe.
Okay, so I'm just looking for a comfy shoe. Now, I know even a couple years ago, like I feel like the fads keep changing. Like we were all barefoot for a while, and now what is it? The Hoka Ona is like the coolest shoe on the block. And I tried one, I would totally land on my face. Like I would just like the lift on it is pretty incredible. But it was like running on clouds. I will admit that. What's the deal with that? Which does it matter?
It matters a little bit, but probably not too much.
Okay.
The biggest thing that needs to be stressed is like changing footwear from like a normal size sole to a minimal to no shoe. That's where the challenge comes into play, where as you do reduce that shoe type, and if you are someone that lands on their heels, then you need to be aware that is going to change where the stress goes. So it might go more to the foot or the Achilles, and therefore you need to prepare the body for that. Either you prepare it through just slowly, gradually adding in the time with the new shoes, or you prepare it through resistance training.
Got it. And just to clarify too, because these are all questions I hear out there, are we saying that like heel strike is bad again, or we all need to forefoot strike, or can we just run the way we're running?
If you are uninjured and you have no issues, I want you to run the way you're running.
All right. Don't change it, right?
And that's where people get in trouble. So
yeah,
if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about the heel and the Achilles, and you have a very long relationship with your Achilles, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did you injured your?
Actually, it was ligament sprain in my ankle that
Oh, goodness.
just kind of went on and on. Eventually, needed some extra intervention.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember because you were training for Boston at that point, right? And all
Hmm.
that stuff happened. Ugh, that's no
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
So kind of that part of the body, it's the strangest thing. So many women, when they return back to running postpartum, have these common complaints like their knees or their hips or their calves. Or what are kind of the most common return to run injuries you see in women that are trying to get back, whether it's right after they've had a baby or they've waited a while, kids are in school, can finally run again? Like what kinds of things generally do you see?
Right. The second person you described is the most common one I see. Is maybe the baby happened a few years ago, and now they're finally able to spend the time on themselves to be more active.
Yeah.
In that group, I will more often see lower extremity issues like knee issues and or like a hip groin issue. Um, the newer moms, so like within like 1 to 2 years, more often than not, I'm seeing them for like the traditional SI back type area pain.
Yeah. And what are the things that they need the most for that? Like what are they missing?
For most of these folks, there is like a commonality where it's you do need to improve the awareness or the strength of the hip musculature, whether
Yeah.
the front, the back, the side muscles. They all just need to get stronger and starting to diminish some of the common mechanisms we see with injury. So that's like the common like pelvic drop when you're standing up,
Hmm.
it drops to the other side, as well as that knee coming in, more of the knock knee approach or thing you'll see with runners.
Yeah, that one I think is probably what I see the most when I'm looking at videos for moms, because our pelvis is basically, it starts here and then it goes here and then it's kind of back here, and then runners are so good at strengthening, right? And we just want to run, right? So leading question there. So what's down and dirty? What are the things in general that would help moms prevent
Mm-hmm.
injuries? Like we're finally able to run, somebody's looking after the kids, or we've got them in the stroller. What can we do to make sure that we don't get injured?
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of piggybacking off of like what you just mentioned, we know that if you do strength train, you will improve your tissue quality much faster than if you just go running alone. And interestingly, this is looked at like the Achilles tendon, where 9 weeks of training was equivalent of 9 weeks of strength training was equivalent to like 9 months of running training.
Wow.
The
So
tendons.
it really is a time saver, technically.
Absolutely. Literally, it will save you time with your health and your wellness, and you'll get faster.
Yeah, I actually really, I mean, full disclosure, like I've done strengthening off and on, not like legit hardcore regular sorts of things, only until like 4 years ago when I started doing CrossFit. And now like I'm not in the gym, but I'm in my driveway and I'm really having to restart again because I was not feeling as strong or as fast or as healthy running without that strengthening piece. And so it's one of those things. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way, but hopefully not.
Um,
Anything else that besides strengthening that mom should really just not ignore?
yeah, definitely don't ignore having a plan. Um, so
Yes,
just
says the new dad.
right, yeah, having a plan is so important for runners. Just with gyms and everything closing due to COVID and social distancing, I'm seeing more and more people that just started running for the first time.
Yes.
And it's basically there's like, well, I can't go to the gym, so I'm gonna fill this time running. So they went from running maybe 10 miles a week, if that, up to 30, 40, sometimes 50 plus miles a week.
Wow.
And just having the conversation with them that that was likely too much on their body too soon
Yeah.
in time. It's sometimes the light bulb moment, other times it just takes a little bit more, slowly wearing them down to see my side of things.
Gotcha. Right, exactly. Don't learn the hard way on this one. Just
Correct.
trust us.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right. And for you, I've known your wife Pam since before she was in PT school. I've actually known you since you were a PT student, so I feel like I've watched you all grow up so fast. What have you learned as a dad and as a runner, and how do you support Pam trying to work out and do the things that she wants to do. And I know she's a bit of a runner as well. Like, what are the things that are great tips for dads to be able to support moms?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this also kind of goes with the last thing I mentioned, having a plan. Pam is such that she lets me know what she wants to do, and she'll work with me to be able to figure out a nice balance. But she basically told me flat out, Joe, I want to work out these evenings during the week. I would like you to stay home with Charlie. And I was like, sure. So as a result, I changed my running schedule. I was always an evening runner. I changed the mornings to adapt for that. And then those evenings, I stayed with Charlie, and this is like early on, so like first
Yeah.
2 to 3 months. And at that point, I had not spent any time alone with him. So the other thing is, other than having a plan, have some expectations and contingencies. So
Yes, all good stuff.
there was literally like 3 or 4 times where Pam went to the gym. 20 minutes later, I'd be on the phone and be like, I can't get him to stop crying. I need you to come home. And she was patient with me. So she came home, and then we slowly worked towards making me a more comfortable dad, where she said, all right, these are the things you need to try. Try these three
Right.
things. If these aren't going well, then you can call me. So
Yeah.
sure enough, after 2 to 3 weeks of me doing this, I got more proficient at it, and she was able to enjoy her exercise.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the hardest things, and the most common things I actually hear too is moms not doing this because they have the mom guilt and thinking, oh well, it's really hard to leave the baby home with my husband or my partner. Like, I'll just stay home. I'll just handle that, and that just kind of goes on and on and on. And you really, I mean, I'm sure Pam's a lot happier, and I'm sure you're happier that she's happier if everybody's getting their exercise. It's just better for everybody, especially right now when, having physical activity is so important for stress and so on.
Yeah.
Um,
Take care of yourself so you can take care of others.
yeah, that's awesome. And if you guys want to find Joe, Joe is on Instagram at Joe Norton PT. And then your website is also Joe Norton PT, right?
Yep,
I
keep it very simple and easy.
I love the streamlined branding. And it's been so fun watching Charlie grow up and watching you guys kind of find your way in parenting, and also to watch you grow your practice. It's been really awesome to see. So thanks so much for always hopping on when I need you as far as like running questions for all the orthopedic stuff. And I'm sure we'll see you again. So thanks so much.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, Carrie.